Welcome to the dojo, Young Samurai.
Konnichiwa, welcome back, Young Samurai, to my Ninja Night Read. My name is Chris Bradford, and I'm going to be reading from my sampler, Young Samurai, The Way of Fire. In chapter 4, which was read just recently, we were in the Torodo, the Hall of Lanterns, where some lanterns have been burning for over 500 years in memory of samurai awaiting the return of the future Buddha. And then Sensei Yamada took them through to be doing the Way of Fire, the last challenge on their Goshuku of their training camp. They were told to meditate and hold their hands over a candle. Now, Kazuki thought that was the Way of Fire, but then Sensei Yamada threw the candle onto a stack of wood, which burst into flames, and the students discovered that was the Way of Fire. And Jack was made to go first. And as you stood before the firing flames, a moth flew in. I was burnt to cinders. Let's see what happens to Jack in chapter 5, A Final Test. This is a matter of faith in entrusting your body to the fire, explained Sensei Yamada, having completed the prescribed rituals. The Zen master had sprinkled the ground with salt to consecrate the clearing. He then parted the bonfire with a long stick to create a flattened, flaming walkway. Finally, he had blessed Jack, wafting the curling smoke around him and rubbing it into Jack's body. Sensei Yamada gave a nod of his head to indicate all was ready, and the students began to chant the Heart Sutra. Jack turned to face the final challenge. He was still several paces away, but a scalding sheen of sweat prickled on his skin. His heart thumped within his chest. His mouth was dry with fear. The candle test may have proved that the act of meditation could overcome physical heat. But this was no candle. It was a huge, flaming pyre. He was going to be roasted alive. Taking a deep breath, he choked on the smoky air. Desperately, he tried to calm his mind, emptying it of all thoughts. Sensei Yamada waited patiently at the other end of the flaming path. Jack focused his eyes on the old monk's wrinkled face. He stepped closer, passing through a patch of salt to purify his feet before entering the fire. The circling words of the student's mantra thrummed in his ears, while the crackle and pop of wood receded into the background. Jack kept walking, his body cloaked in a swirl of flames, his eyes never leaving his sensei's face. He had no idea how far he'd gone as time seemed to melt away to nothing. Suddenly, Jack stumbled on a brush. He caught himself, but lost eye contact with Sensei Yamada. His concentration broken. Jack glanced down at his bare feet. The coals upon which he stood glowed a fierce red. He could now feel the blistering heat pressing all around him. His throat dried to dust and his lungs burned as he gasped in the scorching air. He thought he could smell the flesh searing on the soles of his feet. A sharp, brilliant pain intense. "Jack-kun!" shouted Sensei Yamada above the roaring blaze. Jack looked up, locking eyes with his sensei. He could feel the panic rising in his chest like a ball of flame. The smell of smouldering air had filled his nostrils. He was going to burn to death. Focus on where you want to go, not on what you fear. His teacher's gaze was so intense that Jack felt his mind being drawn back to its meditative state. Jack fought his feet and grappled for control of his senses. With the help of Sensei Yamada, his mind quickly emptied of sensation and the fire lost its ferocity. Jack then resumed his steady pace through the furnace, the flames fanning him, but not singeing his skin. Exiting the blaze, Jack felt his feet come to rest upon a cool green mat of wet cedar branches. He breathed an immense sigh of relief. He had walked the way of fire. "Slow down," pleaded Saburo, who hobbled several paces behind Jack, Akiko, and Yamato as the class wound its way through the moonlit cemetery back to their shakubo. Like true samurai, everyone had attempted the Way of Fire, but not all had made it unscathed. A few were suffering bad blisters on the soles of their feet. "That'll teach you to forget your meditation exercises," replied Yamato, shaking his head. "I'm just glad it's the end of the Gashuku," Saburo groaned, grimacing at each painful step. "I don't think it's over yet," Emi interrupted, glancing back over her shoulder. "There's still tomorrow, and I heard the sensei talking about one more final test." "But surely the way of fire was more than enough to prove our courage as samurai," said Jack. Akiko suddenly stopped in her tracks. "Quiet. Something's not right," she whispered, her eyes darting around the shadowy forest. The students came to a halt. They could feel it too. There was an unsettling stillness to the trees, not quite a calmness, more a deadness. The misty track they followed suddenly seemed haunted with the spirits of 1,000 dead samurai. "We are in a graveyard," said Saburo, staggering on. "No wonder it feels creepy." "We should go back to Sensei Yamada," said Akiko, a note of urgency in her voice. "Why? I can hardly walk," complained Saburo. "That's why," said Akiko, pointing into the darkness. And in my next chapter, you'll find out what she's pointing at. I hope you join me on my next reading on my YouTube channel, Chris Bradford Author, and we'll continue with Young Samurai, The Way of Fire. Take care, Young Samurai. Sleep well. Sayonara.